Have you ever heard about the top 5 cars that have ever made? For today's video, we will be going to talk about the top 5 greatest cars ever made. Interested to know what these cars are? Just keep on watching. Porsche 911 or 911. Porsche GT3 RS is certainly a contender, and well, the 997 GT2 RS is also great. But guess what? I settled on for the Widowmaker because what a sick name it is, and how it earned it is even cooler. We're talking about the 1977 Porsche 911 Turbo, probably the most famous car in history. It was called the 930 in the United States, but to the rest of the world, it was the 911 Turbo, a car designed solely to keep Porsche racing and winning, and to disprove the myth that every car was destroyed in 1975. 256 horsepower and life-changing handling characteristics were what you got from this P car during a time when the rest of the world could not build a car to save their lives. Gas crisis, we had a 4-cylinder Dodge Challenger, cancelled Skyline GT-RS, and a Corvette that only put out 180 horsepower. But Porsche had a car that was so fast it actually killed people. As we mentioned in our video about the Carrera GT, it is too fast for normal people to drive. The 911 Turbo was their first foray into that madness. It had two major issues. First, most people just don't know how to drive a rear engine car. It takes a special touch of the right toe. 3 of the most terrifying words in motorsports. Do not lift. Once you aim for the apex and start into the turn, you cannot let off the gas. If you're going too fast, you've got to pin it. You need to let that rear push you all the way through, which is terrifying in a Civic, and turn it up to 11 on the furrow meter when you are piloting a 250 horsepower death trap. That's just the normal 911 because the Turbo can kick or engage in the middle of a turn, and if you're not prepared, it will spin you right around, or worse, scare novice drivers into breaking rule number 1. You know, a lot of drivers would lift and try to scrub off speed when the Turbo kicked in, which means that whoops, now you're in a tree, and the Widowmaker has claimed another one. R35 GTR. Now our buddy Strad just built one with like over 1,000 horsepower, and it's like a Bugatti killer and all this cool stuff. And that's because when the R37 debuted in 2007, well, the Skyline, it was already a household name in United States despite never being sold here. See, thanks to media like Gran Turismo, Forza Initial, all these appear, plus a little movie called Fast 2 Furious, where anyone who even liked cars a little bit knew that the Skyline GTR, aka Godzilla, was a force to be reckoned with. No one was really prepared for how good the R35 was. Let me put it this way. It has been 15 years since its debut, and it's still one of the best performance cars you can buy for the money. The track time it sets down on the ring is still respectable, and people are still tuning these things into supercar slaying monsters. Ferrari F40. The last car ever personally approved by Enzo Ferrari himself. It is the most Ferrari ever built, incredibly inclusive, incredibly inexpensive, and truly mind-blowing, fast for that time. Nowadays, most hypercars would leave it behind at the track, but when it came out, first auto journalists hated it. They thought it was a useless cash grab by Ferrari, something that the company was just speculating on, hoping that old man Enzo would kick it the bucket and that prices would just skyrocket. Ferrari will fought back and forced journalists to drive the F40 against the amazing Porsche 959. It was a gamble that well wild guesses that they lost since the journalists all agreed that Porsche had made the better car. The Porsche was luxurious, it was fast, it was poised, and it was easier to drive. The Ferrari was a tube-frame death trap that rattled and smooth. They called it clunky cantankerous, and they said it was like being in a Bangkok prison. And yet, looking back, nothing is as special as an F40. It was crude and a huge engine strapped to a tube frame, straight from the 60s, with nothing but a weak plastic shell to protect you from the environment. Mini Cooper. Third on the list is Great Britain's first original Mini Cooper. I mean, how can you not love this thing? It's a slow front-wheel drive car, but you can't argue with legacy. There are very few cars in the world that are more recognizable than as a universally loved as a Mini. Seriously, think of all the places that you've seen on the silver screen, like hundreds of movies and old footage of the Monte Carlo Rally, off-road races, or just part of every British car show ever. And not only are they fun to look at, but they're also fun to drive, as fun as an underpowered go-kart can be. But that's beside the point. The point is that the Mini was an entire automotive revolution. It's one of the first cars to ever use a front-wheel drive, transverse layout engine in order to both maximize pace and keep production costs low, which is a formula that has basically been copied by every automaker ever. Dodge Viper. In a lot of other countries, there are a lot of contenders. The Mustang, of course, since nothing is more America than their premier pony car, or well, there's the Corvette, the blue-collar hero that still dominates race days across America. And they know you got the GT40, a car that's so great that they actually made a torn movie about it. But none of them are as fast or as insane as the Viper ACR. Yes, when it came out in 2010, it was the 6th fastest production car to ever put down in time at the Nürburgring, knocking out the Porsche 918, Lexus LFA Nürburgring Edition GT3, and the mighty GTR Dodge, some company that routinely needs to be saved by the government that can't seem to decide if they are the most insane or the most practical car maker out there, came out of nowhere and made their undrivable front-engine killing machine one of the all-time fastest production cars ever built, and then sold it to the public at about the same price as a fully loaded Vet. They are insane now, that's America baby, other companies. Chevy had to make mid-engine cars using crazy technology like 5-valve and computer-controlled all-wheel drive, or build dedicated Nürburgring editions at 5 times the price. Meanwhile, the boys over the Dodge just took a gigantic primitive engine and stuck a wing on it. So, do you agree with the top 5 best cars that have been shown in the video, or do you have your own list? Please let me know by leaving a comment below. And if you enjoyed this video, please press the like button, turn on the notification bell, and subscribe to MIA Luxury Cars for more videos like this. Thank you for stopping by to watch. See you in our next video.